You start an agency and it's unlimited podcast clips for podcast hosts, right? So find a tool like Swell does this as an example, where you upload an MP4 file and it generates 50 plus clips based off of that source material. So it finds like viral moments in the episodes and then turns it into clips. So you could use a tool like that, and then you go and you reach out to podcasters and like their emails. You can most of the time find them publicly, or you just find them on social media, whether that's like Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn, whatever that is, and direct message them, email them and be like, hey, can I make you a bunch of podcast clips for free? And percentage of those people will say yes. They'll send you back a video and you make those clips, and then you come back and say, hey, for $500 a month or $1,000 a month, I'll do unlimited podcast clips for you. So if they do 4 shows a month, you're basically making however many clips for them for all their social media. And then an upsell that you could even do is like, oh, we'll schedule it out to your social media for you as well. And in the past, it's like, oh yeah, you'd have to have a video editor and like all of these team members to basically like manage that. Maybe like an account representative to talk to your customers. But that business easily could get to 10K a month in like 90 days. I guarantee it. There's millions of podcasts out there. I think there's 4.6 million.
Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Mindset Master Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Reed, and I'm also the proprietor of the podcast. Now, today we have a very special guest, and his name is Mr. Cody Schneider. Cody is an entrepreneur and digital marketer based in Denver, Colorado. For over a decade, he has helped multiple software and SaaS startups, which means software as a service, and he focuses on marketing, automation, and content production tools. His background includes experience at both agencies and hyper-growth startups. Cody is now the founder of Swell AI and Draft Horse AI, a content platform that reached $10,000 monthly recurring revenue in its first month based purely on virality. Now, I would like to welcome you, Cody, to the Mindset Master Podcast.
Tony, thank you for having me, man. Super excited to be here.
And you say you're having a good day so far?
Yeah, no complaints. So excited to be on the show and hopefully, pass on some learning so people can dodge some bullets on their path to growing their businesses.
See, that's one thing I wish that I had, Cody, when I first started my business, was somebody or either like a group of people to kind of guide me through, because when I was coming up in my business, it really wasn't a lot of podcasts. Like they were out there, but they really wasn't like prominent like in today's time.
Totally. Yeah, I think community is such an important thing. A lot of people go and they look for mentorship, but in reality, I think what's even more powerful is when you have people that are kind of at the same level that you are in the process of growing your business, because you can tap into their learnings. Like, hey, I'm having XYZ experience right now, and these things are going on. Like, have you done, how did you navigate that yourself if you did? And so having like 10 people, and this is something I do with like every company I'm starting, is kind of find 5 to 10 different people that are all starting businesses kind of at that same point. And so as the company grows, you're like growing with them, and it just turns into, this network that you can tap into. I found that to be way more valuable than just like some old head who's done this before you. Those people that are, in the trenches as well can be a way more valuable asset from just a shared learning. So
with the different companies that you started and things like that. Now, I would like to know, where did it all begin? Like, take me back to like 10-year-old Cody. Like, were you always wanting to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I don't know if I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just was kind of always selling stuff. For me, it was just like, there's a kind of a thrill of that process of like getting, making things that people want and then getting them to buy it. For a lot of people, it can be either one of those things, but it was kind of the combination that was really enticing to me. So originally started out, I was doing graphic design and flipping like bootleg band t-shirts out of late high school ages, and then in college kind of did the same thing. That led me into what's called print on demand, which is an awesome first business for people that are just starting out. Basically what it is partner with the suppliers that print items as they're ordered. So this could be like t-shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, keychains, dog collars, anything that you can imagine. There's some type of manufacturer out there that will make it as they order it. So that was really my like kind of first big business that I created, was in that space. It really kind of fits into that drop shipping category is what I would call it. Great part about it is you can make money. The terrible part about it is the business has no value. And a lot of the times they can shutter really quickly because like the customer isn't bought into the brand. They're just like bought into the product, right? And those are two different things. So kind of went through that whole process, learned that. And from there, I somehow ended up in the B2B marketing space. I worked for an agency for a while that really focused on helping helping like companies, like we worked with mainly like Fortune 500 companies that were trying to transition into digital. And so my job there was do digital strategy for them. And I mean, these are guys that are like going from like, hey, we like buy ad magazines to, how the hell do we even run a blog? So kind of a, very simple stuff that we were helping them with. It's shocking that was even like a role that I was working at. But I can say there though, like for people that are just getting started, this can be one of the most effective ways to really get an education is working at these agencies that are interacting with multiple clients, like doing marketing for them. You just get a lot of at-bats, right? And so you get to see a lot of different businesses, how they function, and like you're going to have a way kind of like faster learning process, and just like those revolutions of learning at these types of companies than you would if you were going into, starting your own company and you just have that one growth line that you're going on. So long story short, did some work in the e-com space immediately after that, and then worked with creators at one point, like helping them basically sell their courses. So they worked with, for example, he was like an Insta famous barber, and we helped him like sell basically like, here's how to structure your business so that you can start charging higher fees. And so it was this like info product that we ended up selling, and then down the line ended up in the B2B SaaS world. So software as a service. So we basically build tools that other businesses build themselves on top of to service their clients and customers. It's kind of a high level origin story, but to reiterate or answer your question, I think it was just one of those things where I was kind of always hot on the trail for building something that people want to buy, which at its core, I think is actually like what a business is. I think about this a lot, like what does it actually take to make a company? And it's the simplest version is like have something that people want to buy and be able to sell. Like if you don't have both, it's two sides of the same coin. If you don't have both of those things, like it's not a company. Like if people don't want to buy it, you don't have anything. And if you can't sell it, you don't have anything, even if you have the best product in the world. And so I think a lot of the times this gets overcomplicated and intentionally, like you have gurus or whatever that are doing these very complex analysis of business structure and all of this. And in reality, it's very simple. Find out what people want, sell it to them.
We actually have a lot in common because see, originally I came from a barbershop. So I'm from Tennessee and I cut hair for like 25 years. And then me and my wife moved out to the West Coast. And then I was writing movies and that didn't last too long. So I started a few other like little odds and ends kind of jobs. And then me and my wife was like, you know what? Let's start a e-commerce store. Now this is maybe like 2016. And it really wasn't a whole lot of knowledge or literature about e-commerce. So what we done was by me working at a barbershop, I'm used to having all these products at the salon. So we went into a hair care business and we started ordering all of these like bottles and stuff like that because I didn't know about like the print on demand and like the private labeling. I didn't know anything about that. And so we had all these products at the house and we just had like our whole garage was flooded with stuff. And we was like, how in the heck do we sell all of this stuff? Totally. So these different agencies was calling me, Cody, and they was like, yeah, Tony Reed, man, give us $15,000 and we'll do a proper business analysis for you. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I gave them $15,000, Cody. And then they were just like, Tony, go out and see what the people like. And I was like, I didn't have to pay $15,000 for that.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah. We'll resume the regularly scheduled program momentarily. Now, once you're on the inside of the Mindset Mastery Academy, the first thing that you will notice is going to be the layout. On the left, this is going to be all of the things that are going to be included inside of the Mindset Mastery Academy. We have videos for a positive mindset. We have motivational quotes. We have mindset and mental health. We have affirmation cards. We have digital planners. We have blogs. We have coupons and monthly deals. And we also have ebooks and audiobooks. And then you can easily download any of these right here. We have the Success Roadmap Digital Planner. And this is a 170-page digital planner. You can print this out and actually do it on old school pencil and paper. And if you have any issues, you can always reach out to me and my team directly at info@TonyReedCo. And another thing that we have monthly hot seats. Once you're inside the Mindset Mastery Academy, all of your personal problems become the group's problems. If you're going through a struggle in life, if you have a burden in life that you're going through, and you can ask any kind of questions, anything that you want to know, the group is here to help. And I just wanted to quickly talk to you about this amazing opportunity to join the Mindset Mastery Academy. Now, back to your regularly scheduled program. And I
I
also
love it.
love how you help creators like sell their courses. Would you kind of get into that a wee bit if you don't mind?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of times, like you have these people that have a deep skill set, right? Like whether that be like search engine optimization or Facebook ads or something like that. And so they create, YouTube tutorial videos or run a podcast or like have like an Instagram account or whatever that ends up being. Through that process, they develop this audience, and then they're basically trying to like make money off of that audience naturally, as everybody is. It's like the whole business behind this. And a lot of the times, it's like, hey, I made this business. Let me show you how to make this business also. It's very lucrative. I'm just going to throw this out there to people. Doing a business that's courses about how to make a business will absolutely print money. So like pick any space. Like it could be Etsy as an example. Like here's how to sell on Etsy and get your first 1,000 sales. Basically, to talk about the tactical components of like how we actually sold this. So they have these audiences, and basically what we would do is create some type of lead magnet in the form of an educational piece of content. This could be a 7 to 10 minute video that is like some very specific thing about how to like increase prices as a barber, for example. So we would have them basically like we'd have this piece of content that was we call it email gated. So they would have to like provide an email to be able to see that. So as soon as they provided that email, they got access to that video. And then about an hour later, we would start like an email nurture campaign to them. That was, again, just like educating them deeper and deeper and getting them farther and further down the funnel to be able to like buy the course. So that nurture campaign would typically happen over like a 10-day period. So every day we would send them an email that had some type of educational content, maybe a link out to a video that was like the same educational content, but in an audio form so that they could just like listen to somebody talking about it. And then, through that process, basically you're building trust with this person. They already have this trust with you since you're kind of this influencer type, but written content is this really powerful way to build even deeper trust with people. So there's something about it, like the physicality of like written text that's in a long format, that's 1,000 words, etc., that people believe in. And so then at the end of these, email exchange, we would basically like provide an offer. So say the course was normally priced at like $5.99 for the course. We would say, for a limited time, get access to the course for 50% off, right? So they can get it for $2.95 instead of that $5.99. And then put some type of time constraint. So it creates this urgency to buy. And, from that, basically build this, what's called the funnel to create sales of these info products. So that's like one side of it. The other side is then you can also take your audience and you can create like paid communities that are like mastermind groups to sell like access to. So a lot of how people are doing this right now is with Discords, where they basically like sell access to this Discord, and it's like all these other, just use barbers as the example again, like all these other barbers that are, trying to grow their business or like increase the amount of they can charge for their like services. So all those people, imagine you have 1,000 people that are in this Discord, and they each pay you $10 a month, right? Like that's a $10,000 a month business. So that was another monetization strategy along with like the info product courses. And then the other things that a lot of people do is like coaching, where it's like one-on-one coaching, where you can like, you buy a package of 4 coaching sessions, maybe they're 30 minutes long. You sell that up front, and then they can schedule those out anytime in the future. And you just have like a public calendar link that they only have access to, that they can put time on. And you're basically like auditing their business with them, talking through how they can improve, that type of thing. So that's kind of the high level how I see a lot of these course creators or info product sellers like doing this. A lot of it, again, comes down to like, hey, figure out some type of, and indeed, like I'm talking about barbers, right? But like this same process can be used in any category, whether it's video editing, whether it's again like Facebook ads management, social media management agencies, etc. You can take that same idea and apply it to any of those categories. But the biggest thing as like an individual is like, okay, find a skill set that's you can do online from anywhere, and that anybody could do online from anywhere. Get really good at it. Talk about how you're doing it in public, whether that's in the form of YouTube videos or IG Reels or TikTok, etc. And then again, like have some type of like funnel that you build that basically sells them into this high ticket item. That's a larger purchase price. And these courses don't have to be super long. Like you can do them. I've seen people do them for like 10 hours of course content, but they're selling them again for $4.99 or whatever that number is. And when you think about like, how many, sales I need to do a month to basically say you're trying to hit your target number of like 10 grand, like you'd only have to do like 20 sales, right? So if you have 10,000 people that are like interacting with your content on a monthly basis, like doing 20 sales is really reasonable from a conversion rate standpoint of like, here's our top of funnel. Now we're going to work our way down. So yeah, but happy to dive deeper on any of that. But that's kind of how we saw it work and be successful in the past.
And I know, like I said, the listeners, they get like a whole lot of immense value from this right here. And I do want to ask you another question, though, kind of piggybacking off of that. Now, you had mentioned that you had made $10,000 in your first month. Now, typically, it would take the average person, Cody, let's say about 5 to 6 months to make an income like that. But you did it in your first month. Like, how was your mindset when you did that, Cody? Like, was you thinking like, man, I can do this? Or like, did it kind of just happen when you made that 10K that first month?
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a viral moment, but there's a lot of things that led up to that, right? So like I had been actively like posting on Twitter for like a year, and it was aggressively posting on Twitter, like 10 tweets a day for a year, right? And so there was kind of this culmination on that. I think the other wave that simultaneously, and this is for a company called DraftHorse AI. DraftHorse is basically like you can bulk write SEO articles in minutes. So you give it a list of, you could upload a list of 100 target keywords that you're trying to write articles for. And 5 minutes later, they're written and you can publish them directly to your website, whether that's WordPress or Squarespace, Wix, et cetera, whatever you're using for your hosting platform. We actually built it initially as a tool internally for another company. And I was talking about it in public. And so there was kind of this like pent up demand because I was talking about like, hey, here's how we're seeing what they're calling AI SEO, like work. And why this is valuable to companies is when you write these articles, it can turn into inbound leads. So an example of this is, say you do like some type of fine art shipping as an example, and you ship fine art, right? Which is like this very niche thing. But if I can rank for every keyword related to that search, like all over the US, so fine art shipping Miami, fine art shipping Los Angeles, fine art shipping Boston, etc., that turns into inbound traffic, organic traffic from Google, and then that turns into leads for my company. And so basically the tool we built was this like way for people to publish, thousands of articles all at once that would turn into more traffic for their website and, thus turn into like more business for their brand. I think like for the growth of that company, like I just was talking and showing like how we're seeing this work, and then people were asking for it, and like this is the best type of business to start, right? Is like talk about things you're doing in public, see what people are most receptive to and responsive to, and then build that product that they're basically asking for based off of that receptiveness. Which it's kind of backwards for a lot of first-time founders to think about. I think a lot of people are like, I'm going to build this company and then force it on the world. And it's actually the opposite way around. That's the best way to build a business. It's like, what does the like market want? And then like what, where are the holes in the market, or where's the vacuums that aren't being filled? And then how do I go build a product or a service that is going to fill those holes? And typically people will pay you for that product or service that you create. So yeah, that was really it. I mean, it was kind of I just remember growing, like things aren't meant to grow that fast ever. So everything was breaking and on fire. But I think for a lot of, founders as well, they're looking for these like, kind of these quick hits like this. I actually am like the more the further along I get in my career, I'm more obsessed with like, hey, I want to build something that like never goes down. Yeah. Rather than something that goes up quickly. Because like in my experience, the faster something to grow, the faster it can fall as well. So how do you build like sustainable companies that have compounding over whatever that is? And they can still be growing fast, right? Like a great example of this is like if you have a company that's growing 10% compounding month over month, so you go from, let's just say $1,000 in revenue to $1,100 in revenue per month. And then the next month after that, you go to $1,210 in revenue. Over a 12-month period, your company 4Xs, right? So you go from January of that year at $1,000 a month. And in December of that year, you're at $8,000 a month, right? Or sorry, $4,000 a month. So if you take that number and you scale it up and say you start at 10,000 and you're growing compounding month over month. In January, you're at 10,000, and at the end of the year, you're at 40,000, right? So that's like, I mean, that's crazy growth for a company to have, and that's still super fast. But 10% is kind of that sustainable number. Growing as quick as we did, it's like again, things blow up, right? So
if you're ready to take your journey of mindset mastery to the next level and dive even deeper into mindfulness and also meditation, well, I've got a fantastic resource just for you. Inside, you're going to find step-by-step instructions, valuable insight, and also practical exercises to help you enhance your mindset and bring more positive changes to your life. This guide is the roadmap to success. To get your hands on this exclusive resource, click the link below in the description. That kind of same thing happened to me when I first kind of got started. And this is going back with the hair care thing. I tried to force my business onto the world. Then I realized that didn't work. Then me and my wife, we started selling like different products, like, coffee and tea and stuff like that. But, my audience didn't want that. And then I started doing like customer service. My audience didn't want that. Then I started doing like real estate because I sold a piece of commercial property to Oprah Winfrey and her family. And I was like, man, I can show people how to do real estate because I have the knowledge. I'm not a real estate agent, but I have that knowledge because of just, my mindset and how I was going into the deal. And then nobody was really paying me any attention. And it wasn't until one day, one customer had wrote me and was like, Tony, I like your real estate thing. You have, good mentalities, and I like your course that you have, but this really isn't really wanted. What if you did like mindset? And I was like, mindset? You know what? That's what all of my courses are basically about, is mindset. And I was like, let me come out with something mindset. And then Cody, as soon as I came out with the mindset, it was like boom, overnight,
Totally.
20,000 subscribers, got this Facebook group, got this, because that's what they had wanted. The world had wanted that. And I was like, wow. So never again will I ever come up with something and try to just force it on the world.
Just to piggyback off what you said, I think like a huge learning there for people, like the key takeaway to me is like do things that aren't just one shot, right? Like it's like you can have multiple shots on net after that. So I think for a lot of first time entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, I'm going to take this 10 grand and it's like all or nothing. And like, if this doesn't work, then, they're on the street or, they do this big gamble. What I would suggest, just because I've done that as well, and it's it's the wrong thing in my opinion, because again, if it takes multiple iterations to find what the market is looking for, like that, what you just described, like, hey, I did all these different products, but then I ended up that actually like what people are most interested in as a product is this mindset course. If it takes multiple iterations to get there, then it's way more effective to how do I do small bets that try to validate this idea. And then if that one doesn't work, I move on. If A doesn't work, I move on to B. If B doesn't work, I move on to C. And if you do that enough times, I guarantee you will find a company or a business that like people that will make money and that people want. And like they want that product or service. But a lot of the times, like people do one or they do two chances, or they take one or two chances, and that's, they burn out or they don't have that immediate success. And so for anybody that's just like getting going or, starting their like journey in this, I would really emphasize like make choices that are sustainable so that you can do this, have as many at bats as you can, and for a lot of like, and again, I've been doing this for 15 plus years. Right. And like, it at least takes me 10 at bats to find a winning idea, right? Still at this, with like this experience level. So I'm always just trying to like, how can I validate this idea as fast as possible? And like my metric of validation is like, can I get somebody to pay me for it before I even build the product, right? And if it's like, yes, you can, a lot of the times that's a really strong indicator that the market wants the thing that you're talking about building. And so then go build that thing once like they've shown that they'll pay you. Until that point, it a lot of the times doesn't make sense.
Like something else I noticed, a lot of times whenever you're kind of putting stuff out to the world that the world wants, sometimes I notice you'll kind of have naysayers. And this kind of happened in my life. Like when I was putting the word out there about the world had wanted was mindset for me, I started telling my support system, like my family and stuff, and people was like, oh man, nah, that's kind of silly right there. Nah, I don't think nobody want mindset. Go back to doing hair. People want hair. People want coffee. People want this. Yes, people might want that, but people may not want that from me. And I had to understand that, Cody, because they was trying to tell me to go one direction. And typically you want to like listen to your family and your social circle. And so if your social circle is kind of pushing you a certain way and you're trying to go this way, please remain strong. Like don't divert from what you want to do, because if the audience
follow the money, man. If people are paying you and other people are saying that this is the wrong thing, like you just found a massive opportunity, right? So, yes. I mean, your story is a perfect example of that. 100%. Yeah. Everything you said, I'm, stamp of, that's exactly the way that I would approach it.
Are you working on any kind of like projects right now, kind of that you wouldn't mind talking about, Cody?
Yeah. I mean, we're building these companies, but what I'm really excited about are these businesses that are powered by these new AI tools. So like traditionally when you ran an agency, it's like the challenge is getting good people and then building processes out for them to do the work. With these new AI tools, you can build these workflows to basically do those exact same processes without the people. And so that's like a pretty magic thing. So like a great example of this is, like, for example, you could do podcasts as an example. So you start an agency and it's unlimited podcast clips for podcast hosts, right? So the process to like go about doing this would be like find a tool like Swell does this as an example, where you upload an MP4 file and it generates like 50 plus clips based off of that source material. So it finds like viral moments in the episodes and then turns it into clips. So you could use a tool like that, and then you go and you reach out to podcasters, and like their emails, you can most of the time find them publicly, like whether it's like an admin at or like the podcast host's name. Or you just find them on social media, whether that's like Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn, whatever that is, and direct message them, email them, and be like, hey, can I make you a bunch of podcast clips for free? And, percentage of those people will say yes. They'll send you back a video and you make those clips. And then you come back and say, hey, for $500 a month or $1,000 a month, I'll do unlimited podcast clips for you. So if they do 4 shows a month, you're basically making however many clips for them for all their social media. And then an upsell that you could even do is like, oh, we'll schedule it out to your social media for you as well. So you're taking off like these this process that they were doing traditionally and putting this price on it. And in the past, it's like, oh yeah, you'd have to have a video editor and like all of these team members to basically like manage that, and then also like maybe like an account representative to talk to your customers. But like that business easily could get to 10K a month in like 90 days. I guarantee it. There's millions of podcasts out there. I think there's 4.6 million. Like there's more than enough that you could reach out to and find like the customers. And I'm seeing other companies do this where they go and they like my friend's starting this company right now where he goes and he interviews business owners, and he does like a leading interview where they like ask questions that like lead them to create viral moments. They record that interview and then they chop that up into clips, and then those clips they schedule to their social media channels, across LinkedIn and Twitter and everywhere else. They're trying to grow their personal brand. This is great for anybody that's selling info products as well. Like this is like a company that would service them. And he's charging $5,000 a month to do this. It's him and, a couple like virtual assistants that are helping him. And then all the tools that they're using are these kind of AI tools to power it. And I mean, he's got 7 customers in the first 60 days of it being live. It's huge business, right? Like that's $35,000 a month that he's just spun up in the last 60 days. And so I think that there's these massive opportunities for that, for people to go out. And these are the things that I'm excited about. And I wish I had more time to go start, because they're great cash flow businesses. For my mindset with this AI stuff is like, hey, take your workflow or your process that used to exist, and like what portion of that process can we automate, right? So that we don't have to try to get the AI to do the heavy lifting. I think for a lot of people, they're like, oh, this is going to replace me, or I'm going to try to replace this entirely. And in reality, it's like, no, this is actually just like another tool within our tool belt, just like iMovie, just like one of these other, softwares or whatever it is that we're using, that we deploy like at certain moments in time. So I think the other thing that like a lot of people get hung up on with this AI stuff is they're like just using the AI for its general knowledge. And that's all right. But what is actually the magic of the AI is when you have it like write about something that you provide as the source material. So as an example, like you take the transcript of this conversation that we're having and you say, hey, AI, like here's this transcript. I want you to write a blog post article that's based off of this transcript. And it's going to do an incredible job at that, less than 10 seconds, right? And so I think like thinking about it in that way of like, how do I provide boundaries for it to write about an idea and provide that source material that then it goes and rather than because and just to shine light on this, like how most of these AIs were trained is off of like the general knowledge of the internet. And when you think about the internet, there's a lot of terrible stuff out there that's like not good, and it's training off of that as well, right? So it's like it's going to be a very average writer is the idea. But what we found is when you provide that source material that creates a boundary for it to talk about these ideas from, it's going to produce outputs that, it's going to look and feel like you're a top 10% thought leader within that space, because you are, right? Because you have this knowledge that is basically being captured in this audio or video file, or in these other blog posts that you've written, that you spent a lot of time crafting. So anyways, just my call to action for people to how to think about it and how to use it within their businesses and their workflow. For the people that are out there that are right now, they're scared about feeling replaced. Like what I would say to those people is that like, if you start to use AI to like do your work, like your output is going to be, if you're a 10x marketer, right? Like you're suddenly a 100x marketer when you like augment yourself by AI. So like when you have all this knowledge and you basically use AI to accomplish, whatever those jobs to be done are, you're going to be able to just, you're going to, your peers, you're catapult yourself above them, right? And I think that is the opportunity right now, like for these people that adopt this early and get used to it. I think these tools are going to be built into everything, like in the future. Like every word processor is going to have them, right? Like every like Excel is going to have them. Like every spreadsheet is going to have them. Every social media like scheduling tool is going to have them. Like they're going to be just like a natural part of like our workflows. I think for the people that start to adopt this early, even in small doses, right, where it's like, oh, I'm just using them for specific tasks. But what I would tell people is like, hey, like take the things that you hate doing most and try to figure out like what percentages of those can I automate away using some type of AI tool. And you're just going to find like quality of life wise and also like just the ability to produce outputs at scale that make your business grow, whatever that is, are going to be way higher than not using those things. So, and there's a bunch of deeper stuff there too, like where you can like train it so that it sounds like you and it has your tone, style, and voice and like all of these things. But that's like what's on the horizon with this. And like we're talking with like especially business coaches, like this is something they want to do where they're like, hey, I have 500 episodes. I want to write a book about XYZ topic. Can you help us like assist us in that process? Like this is where especially nonfiction writing is going to go when you like as a journalist, like what's their job, right? They go out, they interview people, other books that are related to their topics, and then they like write based off of all that information. So what's going to happen is people are going to basically like collect all that. They're going to curate it, and then they're going to take that curated content and then they're going to repurpose it or transform it into a new media, which is books, which isn't the course or whatever that ends up being. So that's something that's like scary and also exciting at the same time.
Yes.
So.
I wish I had AI when I was writing movie scripts, Cody, because my first movie script that I wrote, it was 250 pages. That was like Gone with the Wind. So a movie script is supposed to be 90 pages and that's an hour and a half. I would sit back, click clacking all these words and stuff like that, man. But if I would have had AI, I could have had a movie script wrote in like 2 days versus 8 months, like it used to take me.
Totally.
So yeah.
Totally. I mean, I think the ideas will still be the most valuable piece, right? Like if anybody can use these AI tools, like original ideas are still going to be the most valuable. It's just, again, using this tool within your tool set to accomplish that outcome. But if you just say, hey, AI, like write it, as the movie, like to use the movie script example, like write a movie script, like it's going to be okay. It's not going to be awesome. And maybe you record like your ideas about the movie script for like 10 hours of, like video content, right? And then you use that transcription of what you just described. And then you're like, hey, AI, write a movie script based off of this idea, all these transcripts that I just provided you, that's this original idea. It's going to write a really interesting, like first draft of that thing. Right. So, I think that's like, again, how I'm personally thinking about it more and more is like, how do I take experts' knowledge and then have the AI do this very like tedious thing based off of those experts' knowledge, which again is like how journalists, how, authors have written books for forever. We're not doing anything new or different. We're just using different tools to do that thing faster.
Now, my next question to you, Cody. Now, how can the listeners of the Mindset Master podcast, how can they learn more about Cody? They're like, oh man, I'm really resonating with Cody. I want to try his software. How can they reach out to you?
Pretty active on LinkedIn and Twitter. Those are kind of the two places that I'm cataloging like all this stuff that we're learning and doing. And then the companies that we're building are Swell AI and then Draft Force AI. Like, honestly, I've gone on a bunch of shows that are like this, talking about these ideas and different forms in different ways. If you just go on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts or whatever podcasting app you use and search my name, there'll be other episodes that are talking through even like different details of these topics and ideas. That'll probably be an effective way as well to kind of just get more information of like this same same type of thread. But yeah, that'll be the best ways to get in touch with me if people are trying to. So,
and what I do, I also link all of your notes in like the description below. What is one piece of advice that you can give to your younger self in today's time that you would go back and do differently?
Yeah, I think my piece of advice would be do things more like I think I tried to build really big companies to begin with, and it would have been better to just build like a smaller like tool company that did just like a specific thing really well. So an example of this would be like we just do video editing rather than, I'm going to try to do all the different types of digital marketing for all these different types of clients. I think that that's like, and this can be applied to any business, just like pick one thing that people want, do it really well, and you're going to get cash flow and also experience and knowledge that you're capable of parlaying into the next venture. And then like every venture, they kind of stack on each other and they can get more complicated and more complex and more sophisticated. And like typically with that as well comes more money because they're like harder things to do. But yeah, I think that that's one key thing. And then the other thing, like if you asked me this question, when I was just starting out, I wouldn't have answered it this way. I would have said, like, don't go work for somebody else. Just, get the scars on your back yourself and, trial by error, trial by fire, whatever that you want to call it. I actually don't believe that's the right way anymore. I think it would be go find like somebody that has done something that you want to do and be like, hey, I want to work for you. Like, how do I work for you? I will work for you in any capacity and work for them for like 2 years and download all of their knowledge about the world that you can. Honestly, like get paid to work on their dollar and you're going to come out of that with just like a skill set and a knowledge base. And like for me personally, like just to make that more concrete of like what I did that I thought looking back was luckily it happened. But I went and worked for this guy who was running a marketing agency and I got to see like firsthand, like here's how you operate a business. That's like, and so now, my world blows up and say everything goes to zero. Like tomorrow, I can always go back to that skill set and can get a company up and running, really quickly and really easily. And also like that knowledge, he had a 40-year plus career. I took his 40-year plus career and now I've downloaded as much as I can from that knowledge from all of his experiences and I can parlay them into now my ventures. And I couldn't have done all of this as fast as I did without those types of things. But again, I think, doing these, and it's almost like apprenticeships, right? Like, and it's what's wild is they have these in like trade schools. Like if you become an electrician or a plumber, right? Like you go and you do actual work with people that have done this work for a long time and you learn from them. I would do that same thing, but just in like whatever the category is that you're interested in, whether that be selling info products or doing some type of digital service company, or whether it's like e-commerce, whatever that ends up being. Is find somebody that's doing the thing you're doing, convince them to let them work you, like to hire you, work for them for 2 years. And then at the end of that point, you're going to have most of the time, if you like hustle and like really want this, like you're going to have enough knowledge to be able to go do this yourself.
Great piece of advice. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Cody. We really appreciate your time and all of the wisdom and your knowledge that you've imparted upon us today, sir. And until next time, I'll catch you later.